Hello and welcome. This is NTA Tuesday Live and I'm Cyril Stober. Irregular migration and modern-day slavery are two sides of a coin that dehumanizes people and affect developmental strides. There are reports of about 40 million people trapped in modern slavery, either forced into labor or marriage. And that this is aside millions of children who are subjected to child labor. A worrisome trend, you'll agree. And this is further compounded by recent happenings in Libya. The narratives include that of illegal trafficking to Europe through Libya, and some Nigerians allegedly being sold off for $400 each. There are even speculations that Nigerians buy and sell Nigerians. Now, why the resurgence after nearly 150 years of abolition of slave trade? Who are the syndicates perpetuating this act? And what are the pull factors for migration? These are some of the issues we'll be raising tonight on NTA Tuesday Live. But first, let's get to see this report by Victor Azu.
Migration has been a constant feature of human history. Homo migrans has existed ever since Homo sapiens. Oftentimes, this movement is from one country or community to another in pursuit of greener pastures. It is a globally accepted practice as it engenders exchange of socio-cultural activities while serving well to consolidate on globalization, promoting free movement of people, goods and services across the world. However, in recent years, migration has featured prominently in the news, and for the wrong reasons. The disheartening spate of illegal and irregular migration is threatening the age-long practice of free movement, especially from the developing to the developed countries. In a desperate bid for greener pastures, young people take the illicit routes of the Mediterranean Sea and the desert to move, but these are dreadful routes that make such trips journeys of no return. This is in addition to the hardship they have to endure, as they are commonly dispossessed of their valuables while the women are abused and exploited. Most of those who venture into the journey through these recently well-beaten pathways do not get to survive, and those who manage to survive end up as nuisance in their destination countries because they run helter-skelter and are constantly unable to cope with the laws of the land, since they are there illegally. Predicted to be the deadliest year for migrants crossing the Mediterranean, 2017 seems to be living up to this ugly expectation, with close to 5,000 deaths recorded already, while some of them are unaccounted for. Based on the survey conducted by the International Organization for Migration IOM in July 2017, Mediterranean migrant arrival had reached nearly 105,000, and according to the Nigerian Immigration Service, about 10,000 Nigerians died between January and May this year alone in the course of the journey through the Mediterranean Sea and Sahara Desert. Of course, a few of these irregular migrants make it to the seeming promised land, but they soon find out it is not all rosy.
When I was going from Nigeria, they told me I was going to Germany, that if I get to Germany, I'm going there to school. They never told me it was prostitution. And that was what they told many girls I met there. So when I was in Libya, they sold me.
Those who embark on this perilous journey blame their country's political crisis, instability, corruption, and hunger, among others, for their action. But the question is, are these enough reasons to risk their lives through the dangerous journey? The recent drowning of 26 teenagers, widely reported to be Nigerians, on the Mediterranean is the climax. Prevention, they say, is better than cure, and all hands must be on deck to stem the tide of irregular migration and its attendant consequences. Never again should Nigerian youths be subject of mass burial or unjustifiable cruelty and slavery in foreign lands.
Grim report, but it sets the tone for tonight's discussion. Let's start off by introducing our guests. We'd like to welcome to this program the Controller General of the Nigeria Immigration Service, Muhammad Babandidi. Thanks for being here.
Good evening, viewers.
Thank you. Let me also welcome to this program Director General, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, Julie Oka-Donley. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We're also joined tonight by Ilya Nladi Fachanu, who is Chargé d'Affaires, Head of Mission, Embassy of Nigeria in Tripoli, Libya. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And let me also welcome to this program Dr. Tokwe Adile Elias Fatili, his spokesperson, Head of Crisis Monitoring and Public Communications of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Thanks for being here.
Good evening, viewers.
Well, as always, we acquaint you with the procedure of the program. At the appropriate time, you can get to be part of the discussion. The various platforms will be on your screens, so you can take advantage of them and be part of the discussion. But for those who will be phoning in, we say this every Tuesday, for those who will be phoning in at the appropriate time, when your call gets through to the studio, do us a favor, turn down the volume of your TV set. Just reduce the volume. That's the way to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And the best way to know that your call has been passed through is you'll see your name on screen. Once you see your name on screen, it means your call is through to the studio, and you just go right ahead with your question or comment. And we encourage you not to bother about the greetings. Sometimes you do know that the lines can be erratic, so it's best for you to just go straight to the point as soon as your name appears on screen and ask your question or make a comment. And we encourage you to keep it short so that more people can get on the platform and be part of the discussion. So once again, welcome to NTA Tuesday Live. And the subject matter, of course, is one that is bothering just about every Nigerian, what's happening today. And let's begin this discussion by looking at Nigerians as a people once revered, and now Nigerians being treated as just commodities. It's demeaning and dehumanizing. Controller General, let's start with you. Your thoughts about this?
Well, it's interesting to find out that this problem exists for a very long time. I always say that trafficking or smuggling of migrants has been in existence for a very long time, both internal and external. Sometimes we need to wait, unfortunately, for the media, for what happened in CNN, for it to be an international issue. But let me tell you, the volume of trafficking internally is serious. But what is sad is that in both trafficking and smuggling of Nigerian migrants in and outside Nigeria, it is mostly done by Nigerians. So it's a crime committed against Nigerians by Nigerians. The recruitment is done by Nigerians. Transportation is done by Nigerians. The control at the end of destination could be Libya, even though it's intended to be a transit, mostly done by Nigeria. The exploitation in terms of labor, yes, is shared by the destination countries, and sometimes even by Nigerians when it comes to prostitution. So it's a crime against humanity, but unfortunately, we are the one involved against ourselves. In the olden days, Europeans come to the shore to buy slaves. Now we're taking the slaves to them. It's very sad that this is happening. And if you look at trafficking in itself, you find out that the best traffickers for sexual exploitation in Europe are done by women. The madams are women, mostly. The transporters are men, yes. But the real control in destination countries are done by women. So it is a crime which we allow ourselves to be involved, where we deliver exploitation at the doorstep of the destination countries. I'm not saying that they are not exploiters, because they are there as government. The destination countries, whether it is Libya, whether it is Europe, the victims are in their territory. They have a responsibility to protect lives, to make sure everybody is protected. But sometimes it's ignored because they are Africans. Sometimes reports are made by criminal groups to remove people who are displaying anger against them. So we need to put our head together, both source, transit, and destination countries, to protect everybody. It's not only Nigerians, also there are people who are exploited in the neighborhood who have been brought to Nigeria. Like we have Beniners who are in Nigeria who might be exploited in terms of stone quarry, in terms of child labor. there could be Niger citizens in Nigeria who are exploited in other forms. Our citizens are also exploited. So Nigeria as a source, transit as a destination country, we should not only look at what happened to our citizens elsewhere, we should also look at what we are doing to other citizens in our territory.
All right. Very much. You've raised very many issues, but let's hear from the Director General of NAPTIP.
Well, I want to look at it from a different perspective. Like the Comptroller General said, trafficking, smuggling of migrants has been something that's been going on since time immemorial. It's just that there are some new dimensions now in terms of selling, outright sale, you know, as slaves. You know, this is quite new. And, you know, we're seeing a situation where from the source country, which is Nigeria, the recruitment is done through the transit country and to the destination country. I can assure you that the major benefactors of this crime or this trade or whatever name we want to call it are those that are based in the destination countries. Yes, from the source countries, they recruit them, Nigerians recruit them because they take them from the rural areas most of the time. They go through the transit countries and then they hand them over at the destination countries. Yes, the madams are the ones who control these trafficked victims. Now, I want to restrict myself to trafficking. They control these trafficked victims and then hand them over to the criminal network gangs. So they just get nothing, really. I mean, the chicken change, if you want to use that language. But the people who get the major bulk of the money are the nationals of the destination countries who live there and who give protection to those madams and the recruiters back in the source countries.
All right, we'll return to that and we'll keep in mind on those who probably would do this and still get a pittance and still want to do it all the same and would wonder why. But we have the Chargé d'Affaires and Head of Mission of Nigerian Embassy in Tripoli.
From our own side, we are looking at illegal migration. Migration is not an issue when it is regular or legal migration. When you satisfy all the conditions. But migration becomes a problem when it's irregular, illegal migration, because from the onset, the intent to commit crime is there. That's why it expands to trafficking in persons for various reasons, either for labor or for sex. And that is when it is of concern to all humanity. In Libya, the report we receive from people is that of ladies being trafficked for sex. For somebody else is keep receiving the money, and somebody else is giving the service. So that is what happened, and no country will tolerate such a thing. And when normally we hear about it, we make sure that the victim must get the price of service one way or another. We as government outside, government representative, we are bound to protect the interests of our nationals without distinction, whether they have illegal migrant or they are regular travelers without any issue. And in such case, we come to their assistance to try and make sure that we repatriate them, along with the International Organization for Migration. That is all I can say about it.
Let me just stay with you for a while. Given the political state of Libya, I mean, there are many people who would say Libya is almost a failed state, and there are so many gangs and militias controlling different parts of it. How easy is it for you to keep an eye on Nigerians, as you said, whether they came into the country legally or illegally? How easy is that?
Well, when a Nigerian arrives in Libya, whether in the east, west, or southern part of Libya. If he travels illegally, he will be arrested by the Libyan authorities without papers and so on and so forth, and taken to a detention camp. When he's taken to a detention camp, information is first passed to the International Organization for Migration, who in turn informs the embassy of the national arrested for illegal migration. Now, in our case, we are informed, and we will be told the camp that they are detaining him or her. If he is detained in any of the camp in Tripoli, we apply for permission, we have access. You can see in our distinction we have inaccessible detention camp and we have accessible detention camp. So, but the inaccessible is temporary. That means no consent, no police escort has been given to us to go to those areas where militias has mounted checkpoints. We would go to the accessible detention centers where we register, we confirm first, ascertain the Nigerianness of that migrant, then register the migrant, then the next thing, give ETC for repatriation of such migrant.
All right, thanks. We'll still return to that. Those who the militias pick up, who might not know. But let's come to you, you're spokesperson for the ministry, and we know what's been trending recently, the issues about how Nigerians have been treated in so many countries. And the Libyan issue is one big one now with so many. Even though we're bringing back scores of them, we hear stories that are, unbelievable.
Well, thank you very much, Cyril. The ministry is very worried about this issue. We are committed to it. In the particular case of Libya, I must tell you that the Minister of Foreign Affairs himself, Geoffrey Oyama, has been on top of the issues. Even sometimes 2 a.m., discussing, calling, and making sure that we do what we need to do as a ministry. The Minister of State, for example, and even the Permanent Secretary, everybody is like that naval magazine that says all hands on deck. Now, the commitment of the ministry is not in doubt. For instance, the minister had to invite the Chage from Tripoli on consultations. You see, in the foreign service, in diplomacy, when it has gotten to a stage in which you have to invite your envoy on consultation, is a very serious issue. It shows the seriousness to which the minister really attached to this matter. And he's been around, and we're taking this good advantage to see him featuring in press engagement like this so that he can speak directly. Nigerians can hear from him. He is the one that is on ground over there for us to understand some of the problems, the limitations, and the challenges involved. And so I want to assure you that the Minister of Foreign Affairs is really worried. But you see, the good thing I can tell you is that all over the country, everywhere that we have missions, we have officers, the officers are working around the clock to ensure anything that has to do with Nigeria is properly handled. You don't hear all, certainly, it's just this Libyan case and maybe one or two other pockets. As we speak, there are other issues that are being handled competently by these officers.
How do you interact with your counterparts in those countries, especially where those countries are crisis-ridden?
Well, you see, thank you very much. There are procedures, there are channels of communications in diplomacy. We have missions over there, like he is the head of mission in Tripoli. And at the same time, don't forget that some of these countries have missions in Nigeria. But I want to make something very clear, so that the public can understand how we work. When there's a news item like this case of the Libyan case, we will not act based on that news item immediately. We want to confirm from our mission on ground the veracity, the truth of this case, so that they can give us figures, like he has come with figures and facts on these issues, and then we will now base our activities and actions on these figures. For instance, on this particular case of Libya, I must tell you that the ministry is adopting what I want to call multi-directional and multi-dimensional approach to it. Lots of actions have been taken. At the same time, we have to be professional in the way we do our things. And at the same time, too, you see, as you might, in the course of this discussion, tell you, there are a lot of challenges in Libya that people need to understand and appreciate. And so we must be strategic about our approach and at the same time be systemic in attending to them. So there are a lot of issues that are involved in it. It calls for patience at the same time doing the right thing so that we don't violate international norms, because we are signatory to the Vienna Convention on diplomatic relations and so on and so forth. And whenever we act as a ministry, as in the diplomatic practice, you respect these norms while ensuring that you do certain things that are of your own national interest. Thank you very much.
Let me comment too. Yeah. In the crisis country like Libya, if you have a problem like illegal migration that we are facing, what we do normally, like you said, we will still follow the normal diplomatic procedure of reporting a case to the foreign ministry, appealing to them to act to meet our requests. And that is one approach. Another approach, we can resort to self-help. What is that kind of self-help? We have Nigerians that are resident in Libya, for example, for many years. They know the note and crannies of the country. We will also approach them that this is the issue we have. Please, Nigerian community, discreetly investigate among yourselves. And let's see how we approach it. In view of either the weakness of the government in place. So normally that's how we do it. We are not police. We would use persuasion among the Nigerian community to see what we can do, persuade somebody to go back home. Because even the repatriation is voluntary. Some tell us that Libya is Africa, Nigeria is Africa, we don't want to go to Nigeria, leave us here. Whereas the public here that are not aware of such information that the repatriation is voluntary. There are even others that don't even want to come. And this is what I want to add.
All right, we'll return to that. They don't want to come home, and still you take responsibility for them if anything goes wrong. But we'll come back to that. Let's look at our borders. Yes, Controller General, anyone who wants to move out, regular migration, there's no problem about that. But you see, many of the situations that we are faced with here, people who are not doing it the right way, it doesn't seem that we have very many people who would ordinarily get a passport, Nigerian passport, and go to a foreign embassy, apply for a visa and go. What we are seeing is people going through routes, and we're worried about Nigeria's borders. How do you keep a check on who gets out of this country when you have borders like that? What strategy? How? Sometimes it almost beats me to think of how you can get to do this.
Yes, I think it's an important question, but I want viewers to understand that people travel for many reasons. And it's not everybody who travels is a regular migrant or trafficked persons, but we need to look at opportunities to travel. As you are aware, the world has become closer than 20 years ago. The ease of travel is much Boeing 747 and bigger aircrafts have emerged. Globalization has made the world closer. But unfortunately, borders are created in the world, which creates a lot of concern and makes people who want to travel legally to find another way to travel. I'll give you an example. Many people think that people who travel by force, they try to escape to take any route, they just go for criminal reason. Not necessarily. You are a businessman. You have contact abroad, you want to get there, you apply for visa, it is difficult for you to get a visa. Or you have traveled already abroad, you have been given residence, you have your daughter in Nigeria or your wife. You want the wife to join you. It's irresponsible. Government should allow my own wife, if I'm staying abroad, you have given me status to join. So once they cannot afford to travel through that way, through legal means, the desire to travel by all means becomes a reality. That brings opportunity for either a person is traveling as illegal migrant, he can say, look, I let him go by all means. There could be the dream for a greener posture. So there are people who are traveling legally. Me and you, we apply for visa to travel. But sometimes you find out that even somebody working in a good organization is difficult to get a visa despite a genuine case. Second, people who travel illegally on their own say, look, I want to go greener posture, let me just go. They may start the journey through the desert, but eventually they become victims. They can be trafficked, they can be smuggled, they become victims of labor or sexual exploitation. But what is disturbing are those who have been picked. Traffic, as the DG Naptip spoke about trafficking, it means for exploitative purpose. Trafficking is specifically you take somebody from Nigeria or from your village or from one place to another, but for the purpose of exploitation. But smuggling of migrants, once you take somebody to Niger, he's not qualified to go to Niger, you have smuggled the person. But our borders are large, Cyril. We have a large border. Control should not be, as I always argue, it's not physically immigration officers standing at the border holding hands to make sure things doesn't work. If we control airport, it's border. If we control seaport, it's border. But majority, 94% of those who we're talking about, travel by land across our northern borders, which are porous, which we need a lot of resources to patrol, which we need a lot of technology. It is more than human beings. We cannot do it manually. We have to do a lot of this patrol with technology. So Cyril, I thank government. We have patrol vehicles. We have just gotten support from, like IOM, had got funding through Switzerland, through Germany, for migrant information data analysis system called MIDAS. We have some borders. I don't want to mention those borders because of technology. We can catch the biometric of person, even if you travel with a coast travel survey to Niger. When you come back, we have your data. But some borders, we don't have such facilities. So government need to invest more in border control so that we can have effective security management, because a secure border is a secure nation.
How much of technology have you been able to deploy? And if you were to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put us?
Still, I keep saying that we need more. You can say like 3%, 30% of 100%, or 3 over 10. But I keep saying it's not technology enough. You need human beings. We have trained this year a lot of officers on border patrol, drivers on border patrol, patrol commanders. Government has bought over 150 vehicles for patrol this year. January we'll do a patrol drill across a border. We have already set a patrol drill. We can see some borders of what is happening in a few borders. We can see that real time online. But it takes more than technology to control borders. You need dedicated staff with good welfare, and we need to work with all our partners at the borders. That's what we must continue doing.
For the DG of Naptip, sometimes it's not really about those people from the villages who do not know any better. We have seen people who have at least some basic education, some who even have reasonably good jobs here, and yet there's a pool. What's this factor that's driving one who thinks, look, I'm just going to step out of this country and the next thing is I'll begin to pick gold and diamond on the streets of the country I'm heading to?
The truth is, as much as some of these people are meant to be or are educated, they are ignorant. We've seen cases where even undergraduates abandoned their school, sold everything they had. There was a case of a banker who actually sold everything he had and paid for it. So I keep telling people that it's gone beyond poverty. It's not about poverty. How poor can you be if you can afford to pay 500,000 to be smuggled? with 500,000, you can do something here. So it's gone beyond, you know, poverty or somebody who hasn't been to school, because we've seen both cases of somebody who is supposed to be educated, somebody who is not educated. But I think it boils down to just ignorance, thinking that there's something on the other side, just assuming that if I go abroad, I'll get a good job and my life is made. They don't seem to realize that even some of those nationals in these destination countries don't even have jobs. But for some odd reason, you know, they've always had this mentality. So I think we need to begin to change, you know, the mentality, you know, reorientation. There has to be some kind of reorientation process, you know, to make them begin to change the, you know, the mentality of a lot of Nigerians who just think that anything outside Nigeria is the best thing for them. Because this is what has mainly caused a lot of trafficking. They become very vulnerable, you know, when they're so ignorant. And the criminals are taking advantage of their ignorance and their lack of education or knowledge, you know, if I may, to get them trafficked at the end of the day.
Some people would say that when people are trafficked and, well, they get arrested and somehow they're brought back here, somehow they know those who organize the syndicate here. And some Nigerians wonder what's happened to those people. I mean, how many people have been dealt with such, I mean, decisive actions that would, you know, deter others?
Well, since the inception of NACTIV till date, we've been able to convict, at least get convictions for about 335. We actually got one yesterday. We've got a number of them in the last few weeks, and it's ongoing. We have a lot of cases being prosecuted. The truth is that we need information to prosecute. Some of these girls are scared to give information because they've gone through this oath-swearing ceremony. And they truly believe this is a form of mechanism to control them, a control mechanism that the traffickers use on them. So they've gone through an oath-swearing, you know, procedure, and they truly believe that if they divulge, they will die, or their parents will die, or something, you know, uncanny will happen to them. But NACTIV has gone beyond this now. We've gone past this, because we've actually partnered with all the juju priests in Benin. We actually went to them and we told them to revoke the curses, the so-called curses they claimed to have placed on these ones. Really, and they are now ambassadors for NACTIV. And so we have this as evidence, we have it on tape. And now we show them that, look, it has been revoked, and the juju priests are now our friends and ambassadors of NACTIV. And so we are beginning to get more information now, and we prosecute them, arrest them, and convict them.
That's an interesting one, but we'll come to it in a moment. We have a very first caller on the, tonight, and this is Umar Anachi, I do believe, from Kebbi. Hello, Umar.
You see, this issue of modern slavery is not as a result of poverty. I don't believe so. Because many people in my village prefer to die as poor as they are than to engage themselves in this kind of thing. And I can attribute this thing to the complete failure of our traditional institutions as well as our religious leaders. Because lack of moral upbringing as well as greediness, to me, are the major cause of this modern slavery. If a person that wants to go outside can raise 400 to 700,000 naira, a person in my village, if he can have 200,000 naira throughout his life, is contentable thing. So it is lack of moral upbringing and greediness, particularly on those areas that this slavery has a kind of life concentration, if you look at it. Because some other section of the country, they don't even engage in this kind of thing. So there is need for our traditional institutions as well as our religious leaders to make sure that this kind of thing is not happening in our country. May God continue to bless our country. Let me stop here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Umar.
So if I can add to what the DG NAPTIP is talking about, you know, luckily I was also in NAPTIP. We are the founding fathers of NAPTIP.
Yes.
We found out that the best way to tackle smuggling and trafficking is to work as a group. Both source, transit and destination countries must work together. The overall beneficiary of this crime is not any country, but the criminal groups. The beneficiaries are not Italy, for example. It's not Nigeria. It's not Libya. They are criminal groups. That's why when we calculate the cost of trafficking, we say it's $1 billion. No, the $1 billion we're talking about, if a man works in a plantation, he's supposed to be paid 150,000 naira. You pay him 30 naira. The extra money is cost for crime. That is the money added to calculate the cost of trafficking. So, including the juju, when we did the Operation Kulvis, there was an operation we did with the Netherlands, where we found children trafficked from Nigeria to Netherlands and then transported to all parts of Europe for social exploitation. It was a joint investigation together with source, transit, and destination countries. So I think the best way we can handle this issue is to work together. Both in smuggling of migrant and trafficking, we need to work together as a team in source, transit, and destination countries. The jujus are just, sometimes they are excuses. You know, we have arrested also juju in NAPTIP during our time, and thank God they are even using juju as a means of publicity. That's the best way to do it. But let me tell you the truth of the group. The interest is all about money. Major cause of trafficking is greed. People know there is, they give that you can make money and they take a risk for no reason. So unless we touch their money, in NAPTIP rules and now in our smuggling, anti-smuggling legislation which we've got, you take the money away from the criminal group. That's the major interest they have. You take the money, the proceed of crime, then you would make sure that this trafficking doesn't come. All crime, the attraction is money. So we must target the money. We must work as a group, source, transit, and destination countries. Things will be better.
All right. We have another caller on the line, this time from Kanu. Adamu calling from Kanu. Hello, Adamu. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I am able to watch privatization and said by the I think when it's to be the structure people, the think of the policy of relevance. And the other thing I would like to ask is, if I are going to do things in Egyptian country, and the revolution, that is me, that is where the migrants and the migrants go. As the state of their children to see. So what do we do to change the cost or the benefits coming out of this whole scenario is going to individuals? Then how can we check this? What is the collaboration in Nigeria and Libya, for instance? Is it possible that we can use this? Is it possible that we discourage this individuals from there, using the government apparatus from the recipient country? Because if you look at it, so damage is 70% or 80% of the damage is coming from Nigeria. When they want the funds of the recipient country, the things that eventually they discover that they also share from the top, or what do you call it, the outcome of the whole thing is not shared. The burden is not on Nigeria alone. It's shared by the recipient country. I'm going to start at a different school, the participation of peace in your time, especially in the country. So that at least we can be win-win game. It's not like we don't have borders. We have borders with Israel. If it is easier for them to locate these guys, the illegal, migrants, in their own country, why is this difficult for us to do so in our country? Take a look at all these states in Nigeria. People come in from different countries to sit down, they do business, nobody care what they do. How to solve a problem? So if it is so easy for them to locate, identify, and do the necessary things in the other countries, why can't we replicate the same here? That is my start. But like I said, I think the question of to put back down there, go to the grassroots, talk to our world leaders, let's be individual and stop with these guys. They are too brainwashed, but we have much to do when it comes to the region. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Perhaps the Chargé d'Affaires would like to respond to that.
Yeah, thank you very much. The issue of border is very important. I'm starting from there first. Because the DG of the International Migration for International Government says that people are abandoning gun running and other criminal activities for making money now, and then following illegal migration and trafficking, because it is easier to move with human beings than gun and so on. So they will check you and stop you. So unless we also, that's a difficulty that our security agencies have until maybe they have to get enough funding to monitor our borders in order to reduce, not to prevent. You can't prevent them. They will find another way to reduce the rate of illegal migration, people being trafficked through various borders, because there has to be regular patrol. The reason we have more detention center, more people in detention center now in Libya, is because the European Union has trained, I'm coming back to the question, the European Union has trained the Coast Guard of Libya to monitor the Mediterranean Sea. So more people don't get to Europe, they come back to detention, they are caught on sea and return because of regular patrol, regular funding of the patrol of that. That's why we have increased number of Nigerians in detention center. Now, what we want to do when we don't have an effective government center in our country like Libya, we need to have a cooperation agreement with Niger, because Libya is not an immediate land neighbor. In between Libya and Nigeria, there is Niger. If we are able to have very effective cooperation agreement in terms of border control monitoring, we'll be able to have that. Now, like I said before in the program, if you have an ineffective, weak government or whatever, like the case in Libya now, you could still resort to self-help, like I said. Because if you want an agreement with the government, it's not effective, it's not in total control of his territory. Like in the present government is not in total control of the east, that is Benghazi. There is one strong man there, a military man called Field Marshal Khalifa Haftar. He has his own air force. He's very powerful, supported by some external rebel like countries like Russia and even Egypt. So he's even more militarily powerful than the unitedly recognized government. So despite that, how can you may not have an effective cooperation agreement with the government. What we do in Libya now, there is no high diplomacy. What we have is migrants repatriation diplomacy. And most of our main responsibility is strictly that. Once we know that a Nigerian is detained, we set the process of getting ETC. Indeed, there have to be cooperation between all of us, like we said in the beginning of the program. There was a time, rather 3 weeks ago, they were loading, as we are returning illegal migrants to Lagos, they were loading in Apapa or some areas in Lagos, going to guests recruited traffic to Libya. Then I told my staff, phone if you have any number of NAFTA, give them that intelligence. Let them go and verify and see how they can stop it.
All right. There's another call coming through from Kogi. Bashiru calling in from Kogi.
All right. Good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah. So I'm very sad with what we are watching and what we are seeing so far. So my contribution is this. Those of Nigerians that are traveling through desert are are not satisfied. And, how can I put it? They are not person that is satisfied with what they have here. Because how much money are you going to make there that you will risk your life through this dirty place? Then, and look at the cities that are very close to the Sahara Desert, like Katsina, all those far north. People there, they don't even care to travel to make this journey so very easy. And they are very close to this country. They don't even care. But our brother from far Nigerians, they are taking it as if they are going to make gold there or whatever. Please, I'm begging Nigerian government to go there and repatriate all of them down to our country, because they are giving us bad news, and the country. I really pity with them with what I'm seeing. Like this program, this man is anchor in NIT. I watch a lot of it today. I almost share tears. So go ahead, Nigeria.
Yes.
I would request that the judges speak about this issue of repatriation, because really efforts are being made in that regard. Please, you can also talk on that.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Repatriation is our daily menu. Like I said, being our high diplomacy now instead of the normal ministers, head of state visit that is absent in view of the situation in Libya between African countries. We normally repatriate almost 5 times in a month, and today being 5th, we are expecting 250 to arrive Lagos, and we give them ETC, we register them, ascertain their Nigerianness, and visit the camps when we have permission, the accessible one.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say that because of obviously it's like there are some camps which you don't even have access to.
No,
you don't even know
exist. We don't know the disease. We can't access them, like you said. Today I received an piece of information, from my staff in Libya, that they have visited another new detention camp. They have registered another 300 Nigerians identified there. The fact is that as we return them, more are going. It's like we are arriving, somebody will say, on your mark, let's take up again for Libya. And from our statistics and studies, most of them are school drop-offs who are impatient to go through school before you graduate and go this. And most of them too are from single parents, broken homes. The single parents, one of them has broken, is with another man or woman. He sees the other children as a burden, throw the child to the wall. And dignity, no morals respected. So that is part of the issues we come to know. Because we interviewed them strictly. Some fell sick, they are in a different environment, they don't speak Arabic, you know. So you feel touched. Some, we keep them in our garage, we don't have a place, we will be talking to the Nigerian community, do you have a small room to keep this? She's urinating more frequently than before. That means she's not comfortable. Let's find a way of putting her to the next plane. So that is what we have been doing.
All right, let's try and take this call from Badagry. Sunday is calling in from Badagry. Hello, Sunday, go ahead.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, this is Sunday calling. I said why I want to contribute to what is going on, well, the discussion we are making on the table. So I would suggest that if what we have in this country is enough for us and we are earning good salary, there will not be need for us traveling to another country. I didn't get some of one because over there they work anti-clockwise. Like hour to hour, then you earn your money and you'll be living good life there. But here the company we have are not enough for the people to work and to earn a living. That is why those people are traveling overseas to put all means to make sure that they earn a better life. What we have in this country is more than what they have over there. So by the time there are more companies in this Nigeria, the Nigerians will not travel to anywhere. There will be contentment with what they have, and they will be living fine. That is just what I want the government to do to we Nigerians. If there are many companies, there will not be room for us going to somewhere else to hustle for job or to earn a living. That's my contribution, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Sunday. Well,
yes, thank you very much. I wouldn't like to agree with him entirely.
Of course not.
Yes, because you see, this issue, the key word that has been mentioned is greed. And that's very central, very key to it. Desperation. He gave an example. Let me tell you this. That somebody died, and he wrote on his chest that if I die, call this number.
On the Mediterranean.
On the Mediterranean. So you can see that desperation. I think what I'm thinking, Cyril, is that it has gotten to a stage now because youths are more involved in this thing, in which perhaps we should get the Minister of Education involved in the curriculum from the primary school, secondary school, at whatever level. Let this be part of this enlightenment right from tender age so that I can educate them.
if I just take a little bit on this question of poverty and people wanting to look for greener pastures, take Libya as an example. Is Libya a prosperous state?
It's not.
Right. Now, we ask, do we issue travel advice to citizens?
It's a good question. Let me come in now. We, the Embassy of Nigeria, we have issued an advisory, travel advisory on illegal migration to Libya. And we have even visited, when the country was stable, visited Nigerians in the major cities to enlighten them to the need, to sensitize them to the need to respect the laws of the country in which they are staying.
Let me come in here, Cyril. I mean, when you talk about the last speaker is a potential victim of trafficking. I mean, from what he said, he appears to be a very vulnerable candidate. I mean, those are people that can easily be trafficked because obviously he's ignorant. And on the part of the traffickers, there's so much greed going on for them. That is just the truth. Now we're talking about infusing the topic human trafficking in primary and secondary school curricula. NAPTIP is at the verge of getting that done. Hopefully, in the next academic session, it will be in the primary and secondary school curricula. We're just awaiting the final approval from the National Education Commission.
Thank you. And let me add to that. Minister of Foreign Affairs recently also issued that same advisory note, advising Nigeria's intended travelers to avoid Libya because of these issues. So we are also on top of that too.
And Cyril, Libya is not their destination, mind you.
No.
They are actually transiting to Europe. They are only stuck in Libya. Nobody is going to Libya. They are actually on their way to Europe and they are caught up in Libya.
Let me come in.
Yeah.
In the past, Libya was just a transit country. Now, Libya is a destination country. I'm there life around.
Why is that?
Why is it? Let me tell you. In the southwest part of this country, their destination, even if you give me $1 million, put them on the boat, they will come back to Libya. They prefer staying in Libya for some reasons. Part of the reason, most of them become domestic servants of the Libyans. And some of them that go into prostitution, we have connection houses in Libya. Those of them from this southwest, it is the Edo people that their destination is Italy. And when they arrest them, they come to the detention camp. Those Southwest migrants, their destination now is Libya. We interviewed them and they told us their reason. The dinar is still stronger than naira. If you are, they give you as a domestic staff, for example, if you are paid 800 dinar, is about $100, which by our present rate here now is about 36,000 naira. If they are giving you 1,200 dinar, you are going to get about 50-something thousand even as a domestic staff. And in the beginning, the Libyans are trusting. They will tell you, I have $100,000 in this safe. They should tell you where the key is. So the domestic servant that doesn't want to school, you are putting something in vocational system. He wants fast grid. He wants fast money to go through the long way of schooling. It's too much. He drop out. He goes into other prostitution. Now, he will now look at the money. If the master is traveling, he empties the house with the money and then run to the wall, either onward to Italy or something like that. That is one reason that they like going to Libya. Libya, again, is near. If you cross Agadez, Niger, you're already in Nigeria by land. So they for reasons based known to them, the Southwest migrants accept Libya now as their destiny. You can conduct research and you will confirm this. Interview them. Thank you.
All right. There's an Aliu from Kebbi who's on the line. Aliu, go right ahead.
I just want to say the people that are going to Libya, normally they come from the other part of the country. Not in Kenya, not in Katsina. Hello, Cyril. Yes, I just want to contribute. Normally the people who are going to Libya to go to Europe are the people who are from part of the country, possibly from United, sometimes from Abuja. So people from Kebbi, from Zamfara, from Kano, from Katsina, they are not going to Libya simply because they are concerned of what they are having. And the issue here, if government can take an action about it, they go through that instead, know who are those people going to Libya and let them put an end to those who are going to Libya to Europe.
All right. Thank you very much. And the issues are many. We're just taking a bit of them. We're getting ready to take a short break because there are other issues we'll look at when we return after this break. But just before we take it, I'd like to read this interesting tweet. And it is to the Controller General. And Olusegun Shita, he says, can't our president threaten the Libyan government to stop this dastardly act? We'll talk about what Nigeria can do if things like this are possible in situations like this when we return. Stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live.
Sinoni Restaurant, serving authentic, delicious, and healthy Chinese cuisine.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our affected brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria, good people, great nation.
Make you report any crooked person, object or wakajube movement to police and security agent demo.
The security of our nation now work for all of us, so plus including me and you.
Nigeria, make we unite against terrorism. Now, Federal Minister of Information and Culture bring on this message.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us. Just before the break, we had someone even suggest that Nigeria should wield a big stick. I don't know how that will be. Well, in a short while, the Controller General of Immigration will talk about those border issues. But first, before he gets to do that, let's go and talk to the citizens. We took the cameras out to the streets and let's hear what Nigerians are saying.
You look around, how many Libyan citizens, how many Egyptians are you seeing in Nigeria? We are moving there. And our youth, that are supposed to be very agile, that are supposed to be our workforce, are moving there. It's not because they just want to move out. Your home is the best, east, west, north. Wherever you may be, your home is the best. But now, people, even despite the fact that they are facing a lot of hate over there, they are still moving. People are still moving as of today.
But people, have this idea that they must travel out of the country just to make it. Even with the situation things, with the situation on ground, people are still making it, in an incredible way. Not, you don't have to do 419, be fraudulent. I would believe to be consistent, and driving and not losing focus. You can still make it. Even if you look at this kind of things, it's pathetic. People selling people in the name of what? Slavery, making money. And when you look at those people that are doing, they say it is Nigerians that are doing it there. Imagine, you sell your fellow brother. It's pathetic.
So it could be they don't have the requirement to start with. And again, enabling environment in our nation is an issue. Over there, life is not so easy. No lazy person survives. except you want to join all the Yahoo guys, and they get caught.
And look at it from the economic angle. Well, people feel that the grass is always greener at the other side. And, you know, we also take into cognizance the issue of globalization. People think that in Europe, in America, in these developed climes, that things are easier, that you go there and you get to enjoy life. So, and ignorance also plays a major role. People have good jobs and they just throw it away because they feel that they'll get a better life over there.
The immigration, because I don't know the situation, they may be trying, but the people whom they are even dealing with, they are wiser than them. If the immigration takes to the right, they can take to the left. And the immigration, don't forget, they are all human beings.
Straightforward, Controller General Immigration will take on that straight away.
Yes, actually we are human beings, I agree with him. But the issues at stake, many people have raised many concerns about what can we do to punish those people who have returned, or what can we do to even stop people from traveling. Nigeria has relatively enjoyed a high level of human rights in this administration. I could remember I was talking to a neighboring country, I don't want to tell you the country, when they saw people criticizing president in the newspaper. Is it possible in this country? I said, yes, it's possible. The level of freedom is high. So when people advise us, for example, issue exit visa, in certain countries in the world, before certain people travel outside the country, they get permission to travel. So somebody will say, anybody deported or returned back to the country, first seize his passport. So put a period, 5 years, 10 years, so that the person is not given a passport. He will not have access. But for your information, some of these people travel even without the passport because they don't like recognized routes. We have done research and we have found that some of them, when they come near the border, they drop, take a bike, sometimes dress like locals, put hijab at the border, cross the border and engage and take up. So you may not even be able to catch them even if you block their passport. Some people say, look, if people return, you know that they are illegal migrants. Make sure you block their name, watch list, but until they are around. But what I'm saying is that migration is not a criminal offense. I want Nigerians to know. And I want Nigerians to continue to enjoy the freedom they have. Nowhere in the world migration is a crime. The highest we can do is to educate the people. And if we catch you not traveling through the borders, we punish you. It's an offense. With Niger, His Excellency raised the issue of Niger. The only border we have to Libya is Niger. And as I said, 94% travel by land. What are we doing with the Niger? In June, we invited all the heads of immigration in West Africa to sit with us in Abuja under the support of ECOWAS to discuss cooperation. We cannot patrol our borders alone. As I keep saying, if you have an ECOWAS travel certificate, you come to an immigration officer and say, look, I'm going to Niger. I don't have a visa. The immigration officer has to allow you to travel. It's his right. You have an ECOWAS travel certificate. But Niger is a person, immigration are the one to make sure that they don't leave ECOWAS free zone. If they see them living ECOWAS free zone, they should return them. And I'm glad to say that Niger has returned over 5,300 this year alone, doubling the figure of last year. Returning them to the border, and we return them home. But the challenge we have, even we don't have a transit camp in the border, like in Jibia, we don't have a place where we can keep people who have been returned before they are returned back to the country. So we're working with IOM to have a transit center where if people are returned or they are intercepted, you can keep them to sleep overnight before it is handed over to appropriate authorities.
We hear people are brought back and find a way and get back. Isn't there anything that can be, what's done to them? Someone goes, he's brought back, they go again, and somehow they're brought. What happens? They just walk
I
free.
give you this example in Libya. Libya, the crisis in Libya did not start today. In 2000, I was opportunity to be one of the 4 people sent to Libya when Gaddafi was around. So there was a central government. During the September uprising, onward September in Libya, when protests came up that Nigerian migrants were developing criminal activities. I want us to look also the activities of Nigerian in Libya. There are some people who are expert in 419. They are called Mugu. They do nothing but fraud. There are some experts who handle prostitution. They're expert in prostitution. They're expert who handle drug. The criminal groups. So when the uprising came, we went to Libya to evacuate. It is sad to note that when we went to Sabaha, the police protected us from going to the connection house. They are called connection house. They said, no, don't go to those houses. They protected them. So if they return, we have a legislation. We have already sent a memo to my minister to see if we can block the passport for a period of 5 years. But I said, even if you block the passport for 5 years, they're able to go through the path border. What can you do? In January, we are going to do border drill. This border drill is to ensure that we patrol, not through the route. Most of us, you see patrolling on the checkpoint along the route, but they don't take. I want us to patrol at the border levels instead of patrolling on the street. This is where we have already started. We have gotten a lot of vehicles. But what is important is to prevent through education. Cyril, I want you to know that in NTA, every Saturday, 6:30, we have a movie called Missing Step. We did it together with the Swiss. It is exactly a movie educating Nigerians about the root causes and the tragedy of irregular migration. It is there on the movie. I encourage people to watch it at 6:30 on Saturday, every Saturday. It will run for 33 months. Then after the movie will be brought out in full.
There's a tweet here just before we take a call from Lagos, and this is Mutola, and he says, I believe a state of emergency should be declared in Edo State and South on this issue. Families of these victims know and even contribute funds for their journey to Italy or Spain through Libya, Tunisia, and Morocco. We still have the caller from Lagos, right? Yes, let's go over to Prince Will, is it? Yeah.
Hello. Stober, I have a different view about all this.
Right.
And I just feel the government should bring up the legislation that would lay a very serious punishment for these Nigerians that are embarrassing the country and getting deported to Nigeria or Libya. I see them as being greedy, that they are lazy human beings, and then they cannot go to the country. So they should be jailed from airport to prison. That's my own view, because what are they spending money for? What is the application for? Why is the wastage? Government is wasting money on these people. That lazy human beings. Let them go to the prison and begin to eat beans and bread or something else, and then stop embarrassing this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, sorry, we can't. See, we have negotiated with them. Foreign Affairs is around.
Right.
We negotiate with Switzerland, with Italy, with Germany. What we negotiate with them is that irregular migrants are not criminals. Nigerians in irregular position should not be detained, should not be punished, should not be dehumanized, and even when they are to be returned, they should be returned with a dignity. This is a human right acclaimed and accepted at the United Nations level. So for us to punish a person just because he had been irregular in another place, we are diminishing our position in the international community. There are regulations which says that, for example, we can punish a person, refusing a passport if he has been sentenced for drug trafficking. Yes, even that one is becoming a good debate at the international community. The international community see it as double jeopardy. He has finished his sentence on drug, and then the person returns to Nigeria. You give him another punishment because he has tarnished the name of Nigeria. The international community sees a double jeopardy. So for me, yes, law enforcement action is good. How many people will you put in jail? You return. I went to Libya 2000. We brought almost 5,000 Nigerians from Libya in 2000. This year, the number is crazy, out of control. We don't know how many we're going to have this year. You put them all in prison. You put them all in prison. What does that mean? Well, it doesn't make sense. I think we should not be very strong on those issues of punishment.
You see images of returnees who claim that their rights have been violated, they've been beaten, all kinds of, they've been dehumanized, debased, raped and all that. What has happened about that? Is there any way of verifying those claims, and what can Nigeria do about that?
When we have such victims and we get information of traffickers who were involved in it, we prosecute them. And we also get in touch with the destination countries and see if they can also get their collaborators to also prosecute as well. But victims of trafficking are not criminals and cannot be treated as criminals. Their rights must be respected and they cannot be jailed by virtue of their irregular status, and that is mainly the reason why they are trafficked, because the criminals take advantage of the fact that they are irregular and so they are trafficked. Even if you're found or you're caught trafficking in drugs and it is proved that you're a victim of trafficking, because don't forget that most victims of trafficking are used to commit all sorts of crimes against their will. Once it is established that you're a victim of trafficking, whatever crime you commit, you cannot be punished.
So the so-called mules can go free?
You cannot be punished. You are a victim. A victim is a victim.
Well, Cyril, thank you very much. That's a very good question. But in particular case of Libya, you know, like you said, government is not, the presence of government is not found everywhere. One of the outcomes of the consultation the charge is having with the minister actually is that the minister has now directed that the ministry should engage with the United Nations, with the African Union, with the European Union and other major stakeholders on how to address this issue in Libya, because as a country we don't have that power, so to say. And so those criminals, we call them criminals, who are actually behind this the perpetrators of this heinous crime, can be brought to justice through the instrumentality of the joint cooperation of these international entities. And that's one thing that the minister has just directed just yesterday, that the ministry should try to now really explore to see how we can use these international organizations to really work on it.
I wanted to say,
okay,
another comment.
Yes, let's Jumari from Katsina, let's hear you.
Good evening.
Yes.
There are two questions I would like to raise here. The first question should be, what is the cause of this illegal migration? And the second question should be, why is it that youth are the victim of this illegal migration? And there is this issue, this research, due to my research, I made that the youth mainly victim of this illegal immigration are the youth from the South Nigeria or Southeast Nigeria. From the north side, where I am, seriously, we don't have this kind of issues of youth thinking of even moving out of the country to go to somewhere like Libya, to go and find in China where there is a better life. There is this kind of, or how am I going to put it, contempt. Whether you have it or not, you're going to stay within your locality just to survive, not thinking of going far. So please, I want to advise on this key question that I raised. Why is it that youth are victim of this illegal migration? And please, we should look at what are the middle causes of this illegal migration. Thank you very much. Good night.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to say that the issue of migration is a challenge to us, because it is not complying with the immigration requirement. That is what makes it illegal. Secondly, people that embark on illegal migration make sure that they don't want to retain their true identity. Now, if you hide your identity, it means you are a ready candidate for traffickers to be used or smugglers to use. That's why we talk about greed on both sides. The human rights of the victim that is the human rights of the victim that are violated is that he's not getting the right price for his labor. Somebody is underpaying. That is where the modern slavery comes in. In the mission, like my colleagues have said, whether your status is irregular or regular, we as government are bound to assist you in the process of getting you repatriated if you are arrested without document.
Okay, let me just put this in. Some Nigerians say, I'd like you to respond to that. How true are the claims that the embassy in Libya is not very helpful to Nigerians, and that's why they have to help themselves?
I want to talk a lot. I'm almost losing my, but it's the first time I'm hearing that. Right now, in my, I talk with my staff even while we're waiting for this program. They told me that a lot of people are showing praises on the performance of our mission, particularly the program that we have given numbers to call for assistance, including Ghanaians are pressing the role of Nigerian there. For example, we have registered about 2,778 ready for repatriation now. And we ask the government if they can give us aircraft to assist the IMO in quick repatriation.
Okay. Let's go over to Asaba. We have Anthony. Is Anthony still on the line? Yes, Anthony from Asaba.
Good evening, Mr. Stober.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, I'm Anthony. I'm calling from Asaba. Yes, I actually, in my village, I come from a village in Edo State. I won't want to mention the name. Just this year, about 300 people from every village all going to Libya. At the time, my mom was saying, it seems as if the entire village is migrating.
All right.
And I became very interested. But I want to say to your panelists that there is an incentive for what they do. And it seems the incentive is the attraction and the driving force. Most of them are leaving because somebody came to Spain who had traveled through Libya and paid so much money. So much money. And they became interested and started smuggling most of them out, collecting 300,000 from and smuggling them through Libya. The fact is that they rely heavily on exchange rate difference, the dollar and the naira. So when they walk there, they sell the money and it's exchanged and it becomes big and their parents collect it and use it. So we must look at the incentives. Most of the smugglers are...
Oh dear. Okay, Anthony, you just made the point, and let me tie what you just said to this tweet from Adamu Ayuba. And he says it's just a question. Don't you think the presence of national carriers, sea and air, and a very strong Naira might reduce the trans-Saharan route and illegal migrants issue? I'm tying it because you say there's an incentive when people change money, and this is worrisome. 300 people live in your village. Is there anyone left in that village but you, Anthony?
Well, you see...
Let me say that, yes, issues of migration has push and pull factors. What we see globally today is that crisis is a major push factor for mass migration. Like the Middle East crisis, you see mass people are leaving because of the conflict. In Nigeria, luckily, there is no major conflict which is pushing people out of the country. If you look at the conflict in Northeast, those people in the Northeast, they don't live outside the territory. The Boko Haram infected area in Northeast is a big area of crisis, but they don't travel far away from the Lake Chad area. They don't go much off to Europe. They stay within the area. Somebody asks, because we have done a research, why is it that there is a trafficking more from Edo to Italy? And to Italy, all major town, Torino, Turin, it is called Torino. That's the major. We ask why. Why is it so? The reason is not poverty. One of the major reasons is that already there is a long community of Edo in those territories. So who will they talk to? If you want to traffic or smuggle somebody, you will talk to one alike. If you want to convince, you need to convince someone you know to go. And there is a fake displacement of wealth for remittances. Some people have built houses, even though they don't enter the house, even though they don't live in the house. But this person has built a house. There were remittances coming. We realize in the amount of remittance coming to Nigeria through Western Union transfer, the amount coming to Edo State is higher than the one coming to the rest of the country. But we're not saying that it is the bad money that is coming, but there is at least sign that, look, there is money in this. So the only way we can do is to separate the truth and falsehood by educating. I keep saying we need just to do a lot of education to the people. Tell them that, look, that you are living in paradise. I don't know why Nigerians feel that it is outside, that the money is there. I'm telling you, this country is a paradise. We are living on a very rich country. It's only when you reach the destination you find out that, look, it doesn't work. That's the issues we need to tackle.
Well, for me, I'll keep saying that it still boils down to ignorance. Most of these ones are deceived and they are even defrauded because they are made to pay for these trips most of the time. They are just ignorant and they believe they're actually going to get jobs. There is no way in the world somebody will go to a woman and say, if you travel, you would work, you would prostitute for someone else. No, they don't give them that impression. They tell them, we have a job for you as an hairdresser, or maybe you work in a hotel and the money is going to be much more than what you can get here. They don't go there because they agree or they are aware that they are going to be trafficked. So I need people, Nigerians need to understand that none of these girls go to these countries because they are aware. Because a lot of them think that these people are aware. And let me tell you the history of Edo. Back in the days, some of the girls from Edo actually went to Italy for prostitution. Those were the early ones who came back and built houses. And then later on, the criminal network gangs saw that there was so much profit in this, and they took advantage of it and started trafficking these girls. I can tell you authoritatively that most of the girls that went afterwards thinking that, you know, it was business as usual, ended up being trafficked, and they were forced to invite their family members. For example, they get to Europe, their phones are taken off them. How many sisters do you have? 5. Invite them under gunpoint. And that is why it looks as if the whole of Edo is in Italy, because most of them originally went to Italy thinking that they could get jobs. And so their whole family members and friends were invited under duress to join them. And these criminals sent maybe $200, $500 to the families to give them the impression that all is well. This money is coming from your daughter. Unknown to them, the daughters are just being trafficked and almost at the point of death. That is the story, and that is exactly what's going on.
Well, for me, that's the old story. The modern story is that the victim initially to accept to go. We are in the field, really.
There's no doubt about the fact that they originally, but they didn't go there to be trafficked.
No, wait.
So let me make my
contribution. Let me make my contribution.
It's very important, so we don't mislead people.
Yeah, let me make my contribution. Here is somebody, for reason of greed, refused to go to school. And just go to what we face in Libya, deliberately change name. The name they have in Nigeria is different from the name they have there. We have a phenomena that has emptied the house of his employer, Libyan employer, and the case is reported to us. They report us to the embassy here, and then they say, oh, the embassy forwarded it to Foreign Affairs. They have not had anything. We should assist them. So I say, okay, I'll talk to the Nigerian community, let them know what is that phenomena. Then the Nigerian community said, please get the picture of the phenomena. We could have some detail about her. Now, for economic reasons, people accept to embark on illegal work. From the border, they'll change them. They'll say, okay, with this name, nobody will accept you to work in Libya. to change. They say, okay, from this, they agree. They now throw them to a connection house. There's one lady now under 16 thrown to a connection house. Somebody said no, he should leave the place. They say there is a price. He paid the price. They brought the lady to us in the embassy. We said we'll send the lady to Nigeria, the next one. Then one software says it's a sister, that we should leave her there with her. We said no. The lady was in the wrong place. You didn't help remove this minor. We would send her to Nigeria. We said, but miss, we should talk to the parent. We talked to the father. The father said, bring back my daughter. But the mother said, leave the daughter with the sister. We say, give us a written commitment. So there's no hidden fact that crime, prostitution, trafficking pays. Like the Controller General said initially, that's the most important contribution. Unless money is taken away from the traffickers, is no longer profitable, this thing will continue. Migration generally is okay. Moving from one country to another, we have Ghanaian in Nigeria, we have Chadian in Nigeria. Do you hear any problem? It's natural. It's when they engage in some activities that is contrary to the culture of the country, when they arrest them, they bring them, we as embassy try to repatriate our children, our people back home.
Let me respond to what he's saying.
Yeah.
Before these irregular migrants proceed, they have these travel agents. They are the major problems of Nigeria, and most of them are criminals, and NAPTIP is going after them. They have these travel agents who procure passports for them with fake names, falsified ages. Underage girls from as young as 9, 10 years old, they tell you they are 25 and above. Those are the major problem. And that is why a Philomena can be another name elsewhere. Yeah. Ab initio, from the onset, this is what happens. They never travel with their real ages or their real names.
Perhaps at this point we should talk about even those with the documents that are, you know, with falsified data on them, and the fact that someone says, well, other people might want to procure, you know, genuine travel documents, but it's so difficult that they resort to helping themselves.
Yes, it's very interesting. Majority of those who are in Libya, majority, they don't even have the travel document. Majority. Correct. This is a reality on ground. I've been on operation.
They destroy it on the way.
Majority doesn't have the travel document.
On the way.
And what we can say, we freeze identity. Our law says that you have birth certificate or age declaration. You bring this document, you swear, we give you a passport. We freeze identity. So if you're a trafficker, we found you with another identity, to change data is impossible. But we have done one in Italy. I'm very sorry to take this time. We had cases in Italy where Italian government confirmed they were victims of trafficking. But they were trafficked with different identity. So we were able to trace those who gave them, who make false declaration, or it is themselves. But as she said, if the trafficker make her to change her identity, for being trafficked, we cannot punish. It's an offense to give false information in issuing passport. But when we found out that that identity she gave was because of being trafficked, we are the one championing the cause of human rights of victims, even in the United Nations, to say that, look, no country should punish a victim because they give false information. So we give them a new passport.
How about someone who originally wanted to do this on their own without any coercion or persuasion, and along the line they brought back, and then claim that they were forced to do that? You certainly would have issues like that.
Oh, definitely.
So how do you address that? It's easy to say, well, I'm a victim, so you can't punish me.
No, I mean, if it is established that you were, because the Palermo Protocol is clear on this, even if you go voluntarily, and at the end of the day you are trafficked, by virtue of your irregular status, you are a victim, and you cannot be treated as a criminal. It's very clear.
So how do you determine when someone is claiming to be a victim and someone who isn't? How do you determine that?
I mean, you know, most of the time these victims are rescued. They are rescued in the process of being exploited. For example, some of them are picked up off the street. Some of them actually run to the embassies and say, look, help me. My life is in danger. And they carry out their investigations and actually find out that they have this pimp somewhere who is going to kill them if they go back.
There are questions about the Foreign Affairs Ministry and about the response to Nigerians who are living out there. And some people say it's because it's extremely difficult in some cases. And that's why people who go out there, they're either not registered, they don't even make any effort to even know where Nigerian missions are, because they say when they even do, it amounts to little or nothing, and they get very little assistance. I want you to address that from the point of the Foreign Affairs.
Well, thank you very much. That is not really true. Let me give you an instance. I served in Paris, and someone who had lived in Paris for 17 years came to the mission at some point and said he has wasted his life for 17 years achieving nothing. And then in the process, we now ask him, why don't you register with the mission when you came? He said, well, he told us clearly that they avoided registering with the mission because they don't want to be known that they are even in that country at all. So it is still the same thing that we have been saying. When they go out, they don't want the mission to know that they are outside. By virtue of that, they can begin to do whatever they wanted to do. But you see, when there's problem, when there's crisis, they are brought back to that same mission. And it is the mission that now come to rescue them, to see how they can really take them back home if necessary, or sometimes you go to the police station to seek their release. And you know, sometimes, Cyril, some of them are jailed. I've served in a mission in the country where we visited the prison, and then we see some Nigerians, they're young people that you wonder what happened. You hear some of the crimes they committed, and their family thought they are enjoying over there. So there are a lot of issues involved.
Let me have my colleague too. You see, in the international diplomatic practice, for a national, when they visit the country, they ought to let their mission know. But in most cases, they will not come to us until they have a problem. That's when we know they are in the country. Whereas most developed countries don't do that. They let the embassy know. They know that as human beings, something will happen. Because in the past, missions are the people that give information to parents when there is no telephone, no mobile, nothing. No this. So the people that are in a position to do that is a mission. Now, mission exists primarily to serve their nationals abroad. That's our primary responsibility. But people don't go to mission. Secondly, even if a national is arrested, unless he expresses his will that mission must be informed, they will not inform us. And then you cannot charge mission if you don't tell the person that arrests you that I want my mission to know that I'm arrested, that mission is negligent or nonchalant about whatever has happened to you. No.
Now, where we have seen cases of returnees who've claimed they've been violated, their rights have been violated, some have been brutalized, and they were taken out of established centers by those countries. What does the Nigerian government or Nigerian Foreign Affairs Ministry do about that with those countries?
First is the mission where they start with us. We normally suggest that we protest. We write a protest note because there is a minimum international standard you treat everybody. If you go beyond that, even if our national commits crime, you must follow your due process, and if you abuse it, we have a right to give a diplomatic protest. And in our own practice, if a country complains, the other country listens, and normally, unless we have weak government, is 10 in the relationship which we don't want. We exist to promote relations between ourselves.
With the numerous cases that we've heard from Libya, what has been the level of interaction with at least the areas where there is some semblance of a government?
Let me clear out something. Part of the pictures are exaggerated. You know, some of the pictures that they are showing now are pictures that have happened before. During revolution, they mix it up with what is happening at present. Like my colleague said, we are involved in repatriation of our nationals even before the CNN report. I know that even the Contractual make reference to that. Since 2 years back, 2009, 2007, we have been repatriating Nigerians. Now, we normally report to the government that there is a case of maltreatment if it comes to our knowledge, and that the host country please investigate. If we don't get response, there's nothing we can do, like in the case of Libya. I will tell you, we received a report, a Nigerian kidnapped a Nigerian in Saprata. And they now sent to us to say, look, I was a victim, I'm now free, but this is this man's picture, this is his telephone number, he's operating in Saprata, and he's kidnapping Nigerian for ransom, and that we should get him arrested. We wrote to the foreign ministry attaching this. Up to today, no response. Part of this is the weakness of government, and we should distinguish between weakness and lack of will to intervene, because there are 3 areas of control and 3 government. In Libya, the balance is that you have 2 of everything and 3 of government. The 2 of everything, they have 2 central banks, one in Beda, and then one in Tripoli. They have this, so paralyzed institution, no unified army, no unified police, militias.
Right.
So,
more reason why should well, we're winding down on this program now, but we do still have one report, and this one is about human trafficking in Egypt. This report was put together by Muslima Shulibo.
Many young Nigerians come to Egypt for various reasons, and in recent times, a large percentage do come in for educational purposes. But there seems to be a trend, albeit a negative one, that has been rearing its ugly head in recent times, and that is human trafficking. There are now many who use schooling and business as a cover to get involved in the trafficking of young girls, boys, and women from Nigeria into Egypt.
Most times when these ladies are being brought over, they're given a fictional amplification of what the society is about and the wealth and affluence that the society is about. So on coming here, they expect that they're going to probably get to do the jobs that the locals don't want to do at a relatively comfortable level of income.
It has become very, very relevant because of the increase in the sheer numerical strength of the number of Nigerian women, Nigerian young girls coming to Cairo under various pretexts, mostly, to be students, but actually they are being brought in by an organized gang of human traffickers. And the matter has not only come to the attention of the embassy, but also to the attention of the Egyptian authorities. The Egyptian parliament passed a very tough law on combating human trafficking. There is a network of agents who are now diversifying their efforts from the European route to the Middle Eastern route, where the focus is now shifting gradually from going to Italy to perhaps coming to the Middle East through Cairo.
The
they will laundering some girls that they are taking them to Canada or taking them to come and make their fortune in Cairo. But at the end, these ladies, they will not benefit themselves. But they are those people are just exploiting them, using them for their own sake.
When some of the girls managed to escape from the traffickers who brought them into Egypt after a series of alleged abuse and maltreatment, they go to the Nigerian embassy in Cairo to make complaints. Temitayo is one of the girls that was trafficked into Cairo. She was said to have jumped from a 5-story building.
I was introduced to come to Egypt by Joseph Olakunle Agbola.
On another occasion, I spoke to her and Olakunle Agbola, who brought her into Cairo.
He collected money from my mom in Nigeria. He said he's taking me to abroad. I never even know he's taking me down to Egypt. He collected money. It was only ticket he made for me when I was in Nigeria. He collected money for the passport and collected money for the visa from my mom.
I'm a student in Egypt.
Where?
International British Institute.
What do you study?
Visa admin.
Can I see your ID card, please?
All right. Right now, I'm through with my visa admin. I do computer illiterate for now. Someone brought my wife the way I brought this girl into Cairo.
Which way?
As in, go to Nigeria, maybe from Nigerian, pay money for the visa and ticket, and she will come in here and paid. Out, she will pay the money, she will go to madam, she will work as a maid, cleaner or babysitting. So while she was working, I will be the one taking the money. That is where my wife was brought here.
Okay.
You understand? By a guy, a Nigerian guy. His name is Jimba.
Is he still a student in Egypt?
I don't know, but he's still in Egypt.
And he also brings girls?
Yes, he's not even the only one bring girls. Many people bring girls. Afars, a lot of afars that I know of, that they have 50 girls, 60 girls in their house working for them, that I know of very well.
There are other girls that are being trafficked into Egypt and other parts of the Middle East. I spoke to some of them on different occasions.
So there's this man called Aji Abdul Fatai in Joku Chukodi, telling me I can come down to this place to work. Also to furthermore if I really want to.
So when you got to Cairo, what happened?
Okay, on getting to Cairo, the story changes. I have to go somewhere and work as a maid, get paid and bring the salary back to him at home. He sees himself as my boss, the owner of me, since he brought me into this country. All he wants is my money, and that's all.
What does the guy do in Cairo?
He doesn't do anything in Cairo. He stays there, he brings his girls to work for him as Shagala. We call Shagala, maid is called Shagala in this country. He doesn't have any other work. He's married. Okay, he stays in his wife, got married to a Sudanese lady that stays in the same flat with him. Those the same kind of work, because the wife goes to Sudan to bring girls from Sudan also to this country to be used as a slave. Likewise, Aji Fatai does the same thing. That's their business. They don't have any other kind of job apart from these I know that they do.
What do you, as a Nigerian woman, as a Nigerian lady, what do you want now?
What I really want for now is that I'm seeking freedom. I think we are enslaved in this country. I think we are really going through a lot of painful experiences. I think our mothers.
Report by Muslima Shulibo, Controller General. How do we put a stop, or how do we bring this? Well, since they say you might never be able to stop this, bring it down to the barest minimum, so we stop seeing these pictures that we're seeing every day.
The film shows is typical case of trafficking. Usually, as even the DG Naptive said, you are given something that will attract you. They look at your vulnerability. You're looking for a job, we give you a job. But when you reach destination, you don't have freedom to work for yourself. You don't have freedom of movement. You don't earn your money. You are kept in a slave-like condition. So it's a typical, there is a trafficker who does this. What we need to do is to have a relationship between us and government. And that's what I'm saying. There is no way you can know that a person is trafficked until exploitation takes place. You can see the symptoms, but it's difficult to prosecute. So what I'd like us to do is to look at it in terms of international relations between source and transit country. But luckily, we have just got a legislation on smuggler. So if you take a person from Nigeria to any other country and the person is not qualified to go to that country for your own benefit, there has not been exploitation. You can deal with him under smuggling. But on trafficking, I think we need to work together to make sure this is done.
All right. DG Naptip, so we're winding down.
Well,
a few minutes.
It's just unfortunate, you know, like I earlier said, we need to clamp down on these fake travel agencies because they are the ones who get these travel documents for these girls and they move them out en masse. We need to stop them on at their tracks at the airports before they move out because obviously going to Egypt and all of the Saudi Arabia and Dubai, they go through the airports. So we need to stop them at the airports from getting out. Right.
Well, I think there is greed and ignorance that is causing what is happening. The youth have to have skill. You don't go out without any skill because you will not get a job that will pay you, give you income that you will be proud of.
All right.
Yes, I believe there's need for an aggressive campaign. Really, perhaps much more than what we are doing. I thank NAPTI for what they are doing, but there's need for further education to the grassroots. But please permit me, let's use this opportunity, these lines that the ministry has given out, these are hotlines, emergency lines by which they can reach the mission in Libya. And the email. I don't know. Let me pass that call. Okay?
Well, we'll just quickly say these are lines that you can reach. Okay. And easily it says phone numbers, email addresses to contact Nigerian Embassy in Libya and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for assistance. They are +218 910 144 487. There's another +2189 250 99384 and +2189 179 53365. The email address is nigeria@nigeriantripoli.org and help@foreignaffairs.gov.ng. This is coming from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and well, as I always say, no one program can take care of all the issues, and so we must leave this discussion here and revisit it. It's not over. We'll come back to it again some other time, but we'd like to thank our guests for coming on here. Dr. Tokwe Adile Elias Fatile is the head of crisis monitoring and public communications of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Ilya Nladi Fachano is the Chargé d'Affaires head of mission Embassy of Nigeria in Tripoli, Libya. Thank you for being here.
Good night.
Julie Oka-Donley, Director General, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIC. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And Muhammad Babandede, Controller General, Nigeria Immigration Service. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. Good night, viewers.
And it's also thank you to you for being part of this program. Next week we'll reach you again on NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stober. Bye for now.